Well, hello there, and welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Jennifer Anderson, host of the show and executive director of the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. Well, recently, the Chamber created a workshop for our members and for the community about how to connect with your community, why it's so important for businesses to connect with the community that they live in. Now, it is a win-win. Not only is the community going to benefit and not-for-profits and the economy going to flourish as a result of connecting and building up your community, but it's also a win for local businesses, and it's creating awareness around who the businesses are, why it's important to shop local, and why we should work with our local businesses. So I have three fabulous business owners today, people in this community who know and get what it's like to give back to the community. Let me introduce them to you now. Mona Statia is the owner of Auntie M's Closet. She's joining us today. Welcome, Mona.
Thank you for having me. It's
Thank
exciting
you.
to be on Mind Your Business.
Yes, and thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And you giving back to not only this community, but this show as well. We're going to talk a little bit about that. David Metherall is also joining us. He is broker with Remax All Stars Realty Inc. brokerage and Team Metherall. Hi, David.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me on the show.
Well, thank you for being here. You are a perfect example of giving back to this community. And we're going to talk to you in a little bit. Also want to introduce Wendy Comer, and Wendy is a financial services advisor in our community. Hi, Wendy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. Wendy, stay put. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it means to be a financial services advisor in our community, but I want to start with Mona and start a little bit about the work that you do. Mona, tell me a little bit, first of all, about Auntie M's Closet.
So Auntie M's Closet is a one-of-a-kind type of store. I have clothing for the entire family. So ladies wear, children's wear, men's wear, and homeware and decor, etc. So it's sort of like treasure hunting on a very small scale. And my stock is sourced through various suppliers, predominantly out of the US and then locally here in Ontario. So it's like shopping in a little, I don't like to use the other competition, but we know what it is. You'd be a winner shopping at my store.
Yeah, very good way of saying it, but it really is. Every time you walk into your store, it's there's always something different. There's always hidden gems to find, and the stock and merchandise is different every day. Is that safe to say?
Pretty much, yes, that's a good explanation.
Yeah, so this is it's a great store in our community. It really is it speaks to you being in the community and you being involved in the community as a business owner. So I want to talk a little bit about that. There's so many different facets of your involvement. So maybe let's start with the Feral Cat Society, because I know that that is a near and dear to your heart.
So when I lived abroad, there was a lot of stray cats. And so that sort of helped me be familiar with the issue with animal control and that sort of thing. When I moved to Georgina, I was introduced to the Feral Cat Committee and I fostered my first two cats. And they're a local organization. They rely strictly on volunteers and all their efforts and donations to help, control the population, bring in the feral cats and keep them safe. So it was something that it was a no-brainer for me to be part of it. It's close to my heart. These are cats that need our support. They need our help. And an organization like the GFCC isn't as big as the Toronto Humane Society and all the other big organizations that might have access to far more greater resources. And they're part of our town. And you, in order to be, to speak that you volunteer and contribute to the various charities, you need to start with local.
Well, and I find it interesting because as a storefront business, you don't often see some business owners thinking outside the box or thinking that they could have a cat adoption in their store or, have these events and have them come to the store. So that really is something that you have done over the years.
Absolutely. And I looked at my storefront and you're right, it's not typical. You would think it would be a pet store or something that's related to fostering and adopting animals. But I have space, and it's expensive to rent space for various charities, and if they're relying on funds that they're collecting and on the generosity of their volunteers and donors, every little dollar helps. And so for me, it's my way of giving back without exchanging dollars, honestly speaking. But it's my way of being part of the community, which I absolutely adore, and I love it, but giving them that break that they need.
Well, and it's giving them the option of space and having that space available. This isn't the first time that you've done this. I know with the Breakfast Club, throughout COVID, you were a drop off for that. That's also something that's near and dear to you.
Yeah, that was every time I think about it, it brings me it was so overwhelming to see the need. And you really didn't think, we didn't really think about it until it happened. And
Yeah.
there's such a big need. And again, I had the storefront, I had the space. I was willing to move things around to make it happen, because these students needed it, these families needed our help. And I was so honored to be part of that group. It was so eye-opening. And as a child growing up, we were always instilled with this: you got to give back, because it's your reward as a to feed your soul, and this is what drives me most of the time.
Yeah. You've mentioned the word need a couple of times, and I know also with another campaign that you're involved with, the Fill a Purse
Yeah.
campaign. That is also another need in the community that you're involved with.
Yeah, and that need is unfortunately, the pandemic has I think driven that need even higher. Unfortunately, you don't think about these things, oh, it's not going to happen to me, or it's not going to happen to my friend or my neighbor. But you know what? It happens to a lot of women, and it really shouldn't. And when I was approached to see if I would be a drop-off location when it first started in Georgina, I was so excited. I said, absolutely, I'd love to be part of it. And then the volunteer opportunity came to be the actual community lead. And I thought, again, I've got the space. It's easy for the YRP to come and collect the purses, rather than somebody's basement or their living room or their backyard or what have you. So I have the warehouse space, and it's easy to manage it all. And that need, when you read the statistics, and I'm not going to speak numbers because they change daily, but it's heart-wrenching to realize that so many women and children rely on our generosity and our kindness, and to remember them.
Right. Something a little different that you are doing is sponsoring what I think is the best show on Rogers TV.
Me too.
And I say this very, very lightly, because our other guests have other shows, but you were sponsoring Mind Your Business. Why do something like that? Why become involved in that aspect?
Great question. So everybody, when they think about advertising or promotions and all that, they think about the top guys. So I'm not going to spending money on social media where they already make millions and millions and millions. I thought it's not going to reach who's important to me. And the residents of Georgina are important to me, and community is important to me. And Rogers TV is a community-based television program, a studio. So it only made sense to be, if you're going to be in your community and be involved in your community, then of course, being a sponsor, it made complete sense for me to be, so that it just made sense. I can't say anymore.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Why, Mona, why become involved in your community? You've talked a lot about the great organizations, but why spend a lot of your time and energy and money on these organizations in this community?
So if there's one thing I learned when I first moved to Georgina, is that community is Georgina. Georgina is community. I lived in other parts of York Region, and again, I lived abroad, and I've lived in Toronto, and I've lived in Ottawa. Georgina made me feel like I belonged in my home. Like this is my home. And we were raised, again, my upbringing was, if you're going to help, you help those that are closest to you first. And who's close to me first? The town I live in. And I just, I have to do it. Otherwise I can't sleep at night. It's part of me. It'll always be part of me. And I'm grateful that I can, although sometimes, yes, it is tough to juggle everything and to have to say no sometimes because you don't want to say no, but sometimes you have to. It's you have to be mindful of that.
Well, I appreciate all that you do for the community, and
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you being on the show today. So
My pleasure, my pleasure. And I appreciate you inviting me to be part of the show.
thank you. We're going to bring Wendy into the conversation now. Wendy, you are actively involved in this community as well. Tell me a little bit about your role as a financial services advisor.
Well, I think finances in general, there's a lot of mystery to some people who, there's so much out there, they can't make sense of it, or they just don't understand it or don't have a complete picture. So what I try to do when I work with clients is to look at their entire financial picture and, look at the areas where maybe they need a little bit of help. So if debt is a problem, maybe we need to dig in and do some work and figure out how to get them out of debt or to reduce it. Every client's different. Every client has different needs and wants. We just try to make sure, or I try to make sure that when I walk into their life, I'm not telling them how to live it, but I need to streamline the frustration of, financial gibberish and put it into, straightforward human speak. There's a lot of negative self-talk out in the news and the media, and how do you make heads and tails of some of that information? So I try to answer basic questions, but I try to provide a voice of reason, and I take it step by step, and I help clients make everyday decisions from an informed perspective.
Well, and I absolutely agree with you. I think it's difficult for a lot of people, or overwhelming when it comes to finances. And if that is something that they aren't fully aware of, then having somebody who's educated and who can help make informed decision allows them to concentrate on the more important aspects of their life and their business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, finances can be, very straightforward, or they can be very stressful. So, we're going through tough times right now with inflation and recession. But at the end of the day, what does that really mean to you, and how does that affect you? So,
Right.
Those are things that we can discuss.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because you're right. This is a difficult time for people, and they're struggling, and finances may be an issue. So the idea of still giving back and still being able to contribute in the community is powerful. This is something that you do a lot. Up to and including even a recent ice game. So that was something that you put your name and your support behind. Tell me a little bit about that.
So when I first started my business, the question came up for me about, how do you get your name out there? How do you get people to know you and see what kind of person you are? And hockey, I think, has been, a long history in Georgina. I mean, the ice hockey has been, established in 1994. So we're going back a lot of years. And it's a place where everyone can go and just enjoy a hockey game. There's no other second reason to do it. It's just something for the family to go out and just have an enjoyable time and support their team. And the more support we give our team, the better. I mean, even with, we're supporting our ice hockey team, and the Friday turnout, which was a free admission game, as well as a donation to the Georgina Food Pantry, I think was incredibly successful. And I think, the Georgina Food Pantry got a lot of donations, cash, food, cards, all kinds of things. So, I mean, I consider that a complete success. And it was definitely one of the things that I wanted to come out of all this. But at the same time as we're supporting our ice hockey team is out in the community and supporting businesses and clubs and becoming role models and mentors for our youth. And we all need that positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a different aspect of giving back to this community.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, and I'm feeling a little guilty too, because now I have to say that all shows, I think all the shows on Rogers are great. You will also sponsor a show. Tell me a little bit about why you became involved.
So I sponsored the Cooking with Corey show, and I looked at a few different shows before I made a choice. And I'm not going to say that the one was better than the other, but I think for my needs, I felt her show, hit the audience that I was looking for. And I love how she creates a culinary delight and at the same time teaches us cooking tips, which I used just the other day when I was making spaghetti. And then I knew I had to put olive oil in there so it wouldn't all stick together. I wish I'd known that sooner, because what a frustration. But she talks when she's doing her show and she's talking about smell-o-vision, and I'm thinking that would be an awesome invention, so let's put it out there, right? But she's also supporting local farmers and residents with the Good Food Collective and collaborating with the Georgina Food Pantry and Community Living Georgina and Routes Connecting Communities. So she's teaching, planning, budgeting, and putting cooking skills out there for people. So again, not only am I giving to her, but she's giving back to the community as well. It's almost like a full circle.
I love it. You are also involved with the chamber. You are on the marketing and events committee, and that's been in the last year. So how is that in terms of connecting you with the community?
What I find, it's fascinating. Again, when I started my business, I felt I needed to get out there and meet people and have them meet me as well. And it's interesting. I thought the marketing committee would be a great fit for me because learn about marketing and how things work. But I didn't realize how much work goes in behind all the planning and all the events that the chamber is putting on. And it impresses me to see how much work and how much effort you guys are putting into what is out there. And I've been to some of those events and they've just been wonderful and very informative. So at the same time of, putting myself out there, but I'm also trying to learn different aspects. So by being involved in the marketing committee, I get to learn different ideas and different ways of doing things. I think it's a win-win.
Often when I start to plan a show and I start to come up with the idea, and I looked at who connects in this community, and I think I know where a show's going. This is one of those that has kind of changed direction for me because as I'm talking to givers in this community and people who are giving back, you both, and I know that Dave is the same way, are so complimentary of this community and of, how much they love the community, how much everybody else is doing such great work. And so it really is a great opportunity to be able to talk with people who really love Georgina and love to get back. So I appreciate it, Wendy. One last question for you. Why is it so important for you to give back to this community?
I've been in Georgina for over 40 years. We moved here when I was 18 through high school. So I have a long history with Georgina. I've seen so many changes and so many more people coming into the community. But I believe that, giving back to the community, it's a means to improve someone's life. So from the perspective of an individual, you can meet so many wonderful people and learn a lot about what, people in general, but also what the needs are out there. What do people really need? From a business perspective, it gives you the ability to build rapport and earn trust. Which in my opinion is the cornerstones of most successful businesses. If you're a new business in town, volunteering and giving back, it's a great way to get out there and meet people and introduce yourself and your business. I believe that community is an opportunity. So giving back to your community is an opportunity to learn, like I said, about what people need and what is important. So when we give back, no matter how big or small, the end result is positivity. And the idea of paying it forward. And there's no limit to how far a kind word or gesture can go in making someone's life better. And
Amazing.
that's important to me.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate being asked.
David, let's talk a little bit about Team Metherall, first of all.
Okay, so in 2020, I guess right now I'm about 30 years in real estate. So in 2020, Cole and I had a good conversation about joining our team and adding a few people to it. So that's where, our team became the start of it. And what we really wanted to do was just get our resources together and put our heads together so we could, not only do more business, but connect more with the community. And by pooling resources, that made a huge impact on what we can do, in terms of giving back. So we currently have 11 people on our team. Not all of them are sales agents, but with real estate, but we have 11 on our team, and we're like-minded people. We love Georgina. We want to give back, and we provide a full service real estate service to the community.
Well, and I was just going to say that because long before Team Metherall, you were giving back to this community and you were really focused on your love of Georgina. So I would only assume that the team is made up of like-minded individuals and people who have a similar goal in creating those opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You do a lot with the community, and I know we've had Facebook, we've had websites up throughout the show, and so I encourage everybody at home to take a look at my guests' websites and Facebook today, because they're always sharing information, always posting what they're involved in. And Dave, for you, over the last few months this year, I've seen a lot of different things involved with the town in terms of Canada Day and Family Fright Fiesta and the movie nights as well. So tell me about your involvement with these events.
It sort of started, I was born and raised here, and I think back in my, what it was like to grow up here. And, families like LaRue's and Angelo's, Prestige Jewelry, I mean, they always put out their resources and services to make things better. So when we joined the team, and this year, coming through the COVID where people were locked up in their houses, and we just wanted to reach out. It's been mentioned a couple of times so far about how times are difficult and it's much more expensive for people to live. So we thought we would do something different. And through the community services department and working with Sarah and Winter has been fabulous. We were able to provide a large sponsorship program with the town of Georgina. And in doing that, our first event was the Canada Day. I was blown away with the amount of support and people that came. We did bring the Remax balloon, hoping to do rides, but the wind had another plan. So we weren't able to, but we did get it to fly. We provided the sponsorship for the stage where our local bands got up and played to entertain the people. We moved on from there to movie nights in the park. Our first movie night was in Pefferlaw Park. It was fabulous. I got to tell you how excited it is to see, people coming in with lawn chairs, little kids, and just the support was amazing. The next night was supposed to be at the Rock, where we were rained out, but the group at the Georgina Community Services quickly got us the Sutton Arena, which thankfully didn't have ice in it, and we were able to set up and run the show there. And the last one was the movie night at the Rock. It just was amazing to see how many people were able to come out and show to the show. And our whole goal was to provide actually a free movie night. So everything was free. You didn't have to bring your wallet, just bring your kids and have fun. We moved from that just to recently the Fright Night at the Pioneer Village. We were able to participate as a sponsor there. Again, we were just overwhelmed and maybe a little not quite prepared for probably 1,000+ people showed up. But it was just amazing. And in my history of growing up around here, some of the smaller communities, like the Miami Beach, had the music festival. We were fortunate enough to be a sponsor there and support them. A small community like the Farley Circle community does a parade for Halloween where the kids dress up and go around and be part of the group. There's a Pefferlaw group that does a 50-50 draw, which supports the Christmas Angels and the food pantry. We were really lucky to be able to support them again this year.
So in all of these things that you do, there seems to be this trend, and there seems to be a hashtag of what makes a great community.
Right.
And I encourage everyone, if they haven't seen the video that you have created, I know it's available online, but it is an amazing video. Why do something like that? What does make a great community?
The people you have on your show today. Georgina is special. Everyone here is here for a reason. We don't have a big box store. Well, we have a couple. We don't have high rises. There's a lot of things, if we walked around, we could say, that we don't have. But you can walk your dog at 10 o'clock at night and feel safe. And, that whether you're doing well for yourself or whether you're struggling, there's always a hand up. There's a neighbor, somebody willing to help out. And really, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that the reason why you give back to this community?
That's just who I am. This is where I live. And I think it's important that our community is full of people like me. So, it's a pleasure to come on the show and be the guy that gets this to say it. But, we really are fortunate in Georgina.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also want to mention you also sponsor a show on Rogers with Georgina Life. So this is something that people will see you as a regular on that show as well.
Yes, they will. And it's been a pleasure. We've done one show already, and it's exciting. We really enjoy what we do. And this is awesome. You invited us on again.
Well, it certainly shows. So thank you. I appreciate you being on the show today, Dave, and I appreciate everybody for being on the show. It really is an opportunity to see people who give back to this community. So I encourage you to take a look at their social media, to take a look at their website, see the different events that they are involved with and what they're sharing on their social media channels, because it really is an opportunity to see some amazing people in this community. Thanks so much for watching the show. On behalf of Rogers and the Chamber of Commerce, we'll see you next time on Mind Your Business.